Can you hear me? Now, can you hear me? I think you can. Uh, there was a problem on the sound, so sorry for that. I think I solved that now. I have to start from zero. Sorry for that. This technical problem. Uh, yes. Again, I start from zero. Yes, my name is Aydın Özçekiç. Today I want to talk about how we can manage AI projects from idea to product. I think this is very important subject because in the AI projects we saw there's a huge bubble and people think that AI solves everything. This is not something like that. So my name is Aydın Özçekiç. I manage several AI projects I develop digital assistants and some machine learning prediction and decision support systems. So I have some experience about this subject. So I saw there's a huge expectation about AI, but we should talk about more realistically what can we do. So today I want to talk about it a bit this. And yes, I have a presentation I want to share with you. Just a minute. Yes. Yes, now I can share. There's some technical problems today. Sorry for this, but I hope I can do this. Yes, I think you can see the presentation. I hope so. Yes. Now, first thing is first, focus on product, not on AI. I think this is very important because in some projects I see that people are focusing on using some AI or machine learning algorithms to solve the problems, but they are so much focused on machine learning algorithms, not to the end product. So yes, this is very simple thing, but it's a huge problem on the market. There are a lot of products just try to promote AI. This is not the case. I think you have to first need to design your product, and of course this product can need in some points machine learning algorithms, some points at different things, but these are technologies you can use, and there's several options you can use in several stages. So please, first of all, focus on your product. Try to understand your customer, your business, and try to understand your data. These are very important, and afterwards AI machine learning can come and you can use them, of course. Basically, I want to be on same page with you, and I want to give the general definition of AI. And I like the Arthur Samuel, and I think it's one of the best pioneers in the field of the machine learning. And it has a very simple definition. Machine learning is a field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. I think this is the most basic and understandable definition of AI. Of course, we can do different definitions, but I think this is the easiest one. And the main difference is in the classical programming, we use some rules, and we have data generally in our databases, and we use this data, we consume this data with these rules and create some answers. Of course, we don't need a high computational power to do this because this is an easy thing to take the data from the database, create some rules, and give answer to the problem. And this is the most basic one, and classical programmers is doing this very well. On the other hand, if you are using machine learning, you have a different approach generally, and you have a data, of course, and you have some answers related with this data, and you create a model using the data answers relations, and to try to find the rules, of course. And to do that, of course, you have to use a high computational power, and you need a lot of data and answer set in the background. So if you can do that, you can train your machine learning model to create the rules. And this, of course, the rules start to work for you to solve other problems like your main data. So this is of course a good and easy approach, but of course you need more computational power and you need more data and answers. What kind of problems can be solved? Already you know there's a different problems you can solve with the machine learning, but most basically is ranking, recommendation systems, classification, regression, clustering, and anomaly detection can be main problems you can solve. And I think you use that kind of products on already on the market for the ranking, like Google search recommendation systems in Netflix. Yeah, there's a lot of recommendation systems, and yes, and thank you for there is some notifications from my friends. Thank you very much. Sorry for that. This is technical problem again. Now you can see the presentation. And what kind of problems we are talking about? Generally, we are talking about regression, clustering, and anomaly detection. These are really important for us to solve that kind of problems. But of course, we need different data sources to solve that problems. And regression is another important thing. Regression can solve a different, if you have a good data, regression can make a good predictions about the future, and you can use regression models. Classification is unsupervised and supervised classification is very important, and you can use it for classify your products, classify your customers, and to create a personalization for your customer base. I think this is very, very important things for your products. And clustering again is another important thing. And anomaly detection is important to understand anomalies, especially in your product, and to create a notification or to catch some frauds. This is very important type of usage of machine learning. When do I use machine learning? I think this is a very important thing. First of all, the problem should be complex. What I mean, if your problem is so simple and you can solve it with rules, you can define some rules for your problem. You don't need to use machine learning. Just use that rule-based systems and go as classical programming. But if you have a very complex problems, what I mean from the complex problems, for example, you have a lot of data, you couldn't understand how you will use this data, how you will label this data, and it start to very complicated to manage that kind of systems. Machine learning start to take a role there. They are because there is a huge problem you can solve about data, and you can't analyze this data with your normal understanding. I think this kind of problems can be accepted as complex problems, but complexity is not enough for to use the machine learning. The other thing is this problem should be as scalable. What I mean from the scalable, if you have a problem, yes, it's a complex problem, but it's a so niche. This problem can't create data for you, so you can't scale this problem. Just it's a very narrow data system or very narrow the database you have about it, so you can't use a machine learning effectively there. So your problem should be scalable. So your problem can expand to use different data sources to solve this problem. Other thing is a personalization. If personalization is important in your problem or in your product, you have to think about the machine learning, because personalization by other systems is not easy. You have to spend a lot of time to personalize to your product without machine learning. So machine learning start to be more feasible in the personalization problems. And of course, your data should be available, secure, relevant, and unbiased. If you have a problem with your data system, if you don't have data pipeline, first solve your data problems, not focus on machine learning. You clean your data, you create how you will collect your data, try to label your data and solve these problems. And when you're solving these problems in the backend, you can use some machine learning for the labeling works, for different, and for example, data cleaning or creating data pipeline. These are very important topics, and you can use different machine learning algorithms in there to make it better. And of course, you have to use some data scientists, machine learning engineers to do it better. So first focus on, of course, your data. Your data should be available, secure and relevant, and unbiased. Unbiased is very important. If your data is biased, it will create a lot of problem in the machine learning, and your end product will fail. So first, solve your data problems. I think it's very main infrastructure, and then of course your problem should be complex. It should be more scalable, and personalization is so important. The big question, I think, is it possible to build a minimum viable product without machine learning? I think this is a very important question to ask. You have to ask this question because in the minimum viable product, if you focus on machine learning, generally in the minimum viable product, you use not all the data, a part of data, or uh, just some solutions to show the customers the result of your product. Uh, you have to focus on your MVP, your minimum viable product. And if you don't have data and you force yourself to use machine learning, in that point your product start to fail. And first, people who try your product say that this product isn't working, and this is a very bad feedback, and it can cause failure of your project. So in that point, first try to understand. Yes, you can use machine learning, but you have to be sure that it will be a proper working. So, and this model should work properly. So please try it, test it. And if you come a point, you can say that I don't want to use machine learning in the MVP. You can do it in other way. For example, you can do it some rule-based solutions. Try it, because it's most important thing to show the results of your idea to the potential customer, not to show the machine learning features to your customer. So first, make a prototype of your model, maybe, and use some rule-based systems in the background, and to show your features to your customer. Then replace your rule-based system with the machine learning model. I think this is a better option if you can do this. For example, for chatbot projects generally, if you are in the MVP stage and try to create, for example, chatbot, a digital assistant for customer, and I leave that. And if you try to develop a chatbot with a limited data, it can't answer a lot of questions, okay? And when people try it, they say that, oh, this chatbot doesn't work. It doesn't give answer to my questions. And it is not a good journey for customer. In that point, for the MVP, you can create a structured workflow in the chatbot for the customer, and he can experience the process. And it is more variable, believe me, because people wants to feel what you want to do. Okay, they don't want to see just technology. So I think this is an important topic, and don't be afraid to launch a product without machine learning. Because a lot of problem can be solved with simple rules, and you can do this. And of course, maybe the most important part of machine learning is the personalization. Maybe for your first solution can give personalized answers to the people's questions, people's problems, but it can solve the problem more generically, and it's a good starting point. If your project cannot reach the new data, because I think maybe the machine learning is the most important thing is machine learning algorithms models train itself with the new data, and they are very adaptable to the new developments in your project, or customer ideas, or customer approach. So it is very important advantage of the machine learning projects. They are very adaptable. But if you don't use this adaptable side of your machine learning, you create a machine learning model and consume this model for your in the product, but you don't train it with new data, you will lose a lot of advantage of your product. So please focus on adaptability of your machine learning model. Other thing is, if your project needs accuracy is so important. Machine learning solves a lot of problem, but not with high accuracy. It gives good idea. Yes, it can give a lot of good approach about the solution, but it is not accurate. For example, if you want to make a calculation about some scientific things, you should be accurate, okay? And you can solve that kind of scientific problems with machine learning, but machine learning approach will be probabilistic, so it won't be accurate as the scientific approach. So in that point, please be aware of it. If your problem requires accuracy, think about the machine learning. Don't use machine learning, I think, because it is very critical in your product. So think about it. And of course, if you need full interpretability uh, about your product, please be careful about machine learning. In some problems, you have to explain how you reach the result, okay? Because you have to give some, you have to be transparent about your process. And this is very important. And when you use machine learning, you can't explain how you reach the result. You can't explain this process very accurately. So you will talk about some models, some data relations, but it won't be so transparent. And because of that, transparency is so important. If you have to explain how you reach the result, think about to use machine learning, because maybe machine learning is not your main solution for that kind of problems. I try to explain a bit deterministic to probabilistic approach. AI systems differ from traditional software in many ways, but the biggest difference is that machine learning shifts engineering from deterministic process to probabilistic one. And this is, I think, the main big difference, because sometimes you need more deterministic approach, sometimes not. But you have to be sure about it, because this is a probabilistic approach and accuracy will be not so high at the end. It won't be 100%. In other words, machine learning adds uncertainty to your project. Generally, if you look different sources, we say that you can spend a lot of time in your project, but at the end, your accuracy can be so low. This is a big risk of AI projects, and I leave this too much. For example, we try to develop a decision support system for scheduling, and we collect a lot of data, and we try create a model, and we work it for 2 months to make some tests, to make some hyper tuning in the model, but at that we couldn't reach real result. Our product doesn't work properly because there can be a lot of reasons, because maybe we use data in wrong way, maybe our model is wrong, maybe we use a wrong algorithm. There can be a lot of reasons. But in the machine learning projects, you can't say, for example, I will develop this product in 2 months and it can be used by the customer without a problem. It will be accurate. You can't say this, because this is a probabilistic approach. There are a lot of uncertainty there, and you have to work on data too much. And at the end, this data set cannot answer to the question, to the problem. So when you are working on AI and machine learning, generally, if you don't just work on in a package solution, if you are trying to develop yourself, please be aware of it. This is a currently research and development project. So this is my advice. Try to create a normal rule-based solution for your problem. Then try to develop a machine learning algorithm in the backend, and try to replace this rule-based thing with the machine learning algorithm step by step with A/B testing, and try to understand the customer reactions. I think this is very important and very, very, very valuable. Not just focus on machine learning. Try to use it to replace other systems, and it should be continuous process. Yes, in a point, machine learning algorithm can work better, more personalized, and more effective than the rule-based systems. But especially in the starting point, be aware of the problem, be aware of the challenge. This can affect your launch time. This can affect your all project planning. So you have to be aware of it. And I have to give some data about it. Uh, Even simple machine learning projects can be difficult, and managing these projects in a real business much harder than most people realize. That's why VentureBeat claims 87% of machine learning products never make it into production. I want to stress on this percentage. 87% of machine learning products never make it into production. This is a huge ratio. And the Harvard Business Review says that the first wave of corporate AI is bound to fail. This I don't want to be just pessimistic, but we should be realistic. Machine learning is so important. Yes, you can use in your projects. Of course, it adds value to your projects. I agree. But be aware of it. There's a huge risk of fail, and this is so normal because these projects are data centric, and it's about your data pipeline, and there are different factors. And in the machine learning, we can't say just one algorithm works for everyone. So we are trying different machine learning algorithms to create a machine learning models, and there are different problems in these models. So if you are not well experienced about machine learning development and that kind of projects, you, in a point you can think that my model is working, but in some exceptions or some cases of your product, this machine learning can make huge mistakes. So testing is very, very critical because your data generally is biased because you are collecting data from your customers, and huge proportion of your customers making same thing in the same way. But some part of your customers can try different things, and they try to use your system differently. And unfortunately, your data biased, and machine learning algorithms can't understand the people are using your system differently or enter different kind of data, and they try to uh, give answers like well, they try to give the most popular answer to that people, and it create a big problems for the customers. So I want to give a briefly machine learning life cycle, and generally everything starts with data, gathering your data preparation, data wrangling, analyze data. I think one, two, three, four, gathering data preparation, data wrangling, and analyze data are all related to your data pipeline, creating a better data source and make it clear, make it useful. This is very important to all the projects. If you can do this as an infrastructure, it will work for you. And please don't think just big companies. For the small companies, it's same. For example, you can be e-commerce company, and you should first of all you should create a common data environment for a company, and you have to a good labeling system, uh, and of course you have to collect data from your customer more effectively, and you should use this data in your systems. And I think if you don't do anything about business intelligence, data analytics before, don't go to machine learning. Because first of all, you have to work on your data. You should understand your data. And afterwards, machine learning will be more valuable for you. And then analyzing your data, you have to train your model. Of course, there's a training model. There are a lot of works there to develop your model and test your model and deployment. It seems easy, but believe me, it takes a lot of time, especially data side, data cleaning, and that kind of parts is very critical. And if you don't work very well there, uh, the machine learning part won't work. On the other hand, when you try to create a machine learning models, you try to understand accuracy of your model, and if you try to understand how your model will act for different group of people, I think it is very important to understand, because when I think the test of the model is critical in that point, because when you try to test the model, you don't try to test yourself, because you always think about the processes you created, but some users will use it differently. So you try to test your model with actual users. Of course, beta testers can be. Try to reach them, and this feedbacks will be very valuable. And generally, in the first version of your machine learning model, feedbacks will be not very good. They will be very negative, because people in the machine learning, generally people compare it with the existing products, and existing products not work with general machine learning, or they work with a huge data in the background, so they give a better results. When they try to compare your product with the products on the market, they give a bad feedbacks to you. But this is normal. So because of that, I start with some, if you can start with some rule-based systems, and then you can change with machine learning. And other thing, you should focus on data side more. If you want to create a differentiation in your product, you can create in the data side, not in the machine learning side. Generally, if you don't create a totally new innovative machine learning algorithm, generally everybody using the same kind of machine learning algorithms. So if you want to be differentiate yourself from other products on the market, you should focus on data. And secondly, you should focus on how you will train your system with the new data. So you can focus on the new data collection. If you can create a good data analyze and data collection and model update cycle, I think your machine learning model can gain a competitive advantage in a relatively short time. But in the first impression, it is not easy to create just with one model and create a wonderful solution. It's not so possible. But try to analyze this and create a plan for your product, of course. And of course, maybe you heard that kind of questions. Is there AI in your solution? I think the good answer is that AI is not something like that. Some customers are doing this, and of course, some investors are doing this. Is there AI in your solution? This is a very silly question, because really I heard that kind of questions from the people. But generally, try to answer these questions with how you will use AI and what is your targets about your product, and then come a point, and the AI is not priority is your solution, your product. So put the product on the market, and you can use AI if you have good data, other kind of things, but don't focus on just AI. AI is just a features. You can use the different features, maybe in more research and development way. And my suggestions, and I want to conclude with these suggestions. First, do experiment. Machine learning is very funny and very enjoyable thing if you are working on with the data, because you can create different things people don't try before, and it's cool, but it's a bit risky, obviously. So do experiment. Try some simple machine learning algorithms or your data to create some insights for your customers. Do experiments. Of course, focus on customer needs. Ask for advice from machine learning experts. In my opinion, obviously use cloud infrastructure for machine learning model development. It's not. I think don't spend your own resources for that. I think cloud infrastructure is perfect. There are different tools. Google Cloud, Amazon, Azure gives a lot of opportunity for you, and they are very easy to use now. And you can create a MVP using that kind of pre-populated machine learning models. I think they are working very well. So you can use that kind of options in your products. So please focus on cloud providers and use their solutions in different stages. There are different products. And work on your data, digest your data, and make a data management plan, a data pipeline. These are very important things because you will use all this data in your machine learning and other kinds of products. If you don't work on the data properly, all the other systems will collapse. So please think about that. don't use machine learning without appropriate plan. What I mean, you have to create a machine learning development plan for your project or for your company or for product. Uh, think about that. How which data you will use, how you will use, what kind of cloud infrastructure you will use, and generally step by step try to plan your algorithm model selection, will deploy the model, your testing strategy, your beta testers, that kind of things plan beforehand. And it is very important for you. And it's not easy to put uh, duration to these processes because, as I said, machine learning development, that kind of things are a bit experimental. And some points you can fail, it's normal. And you have to change your data model or that kind or your machine learning model, and it is very iterative and it takes time, unfortunately. So be aware of this contingency and put your extra time for machine learning development works. Please don't launch with insufficient data. You can use a machine learning algorithm. You think that you solve the problem, but without with insufficient data, your model won't work properly, and the customers or testers or investors think that this thing doesn't work because they don't focus on your model, they don't focus on your data, they just focus on the results. Because of that, you're aware of that. Showing the best practice to the customer is more important than showing some AI models. Use machine learning to help data collection. Yes, there's another point. You can use some machine learning algorithms to collect data from different sources. For example, you have a document, a very hard copy document in your company, and you can use machine learning to digitize these documents. Or uh, you can use photos or videos of your manufacturing area to create some data about the manufacturing. And of course, in this, you can use some image recognition type machine learning algorithms. Best side, these algorithms already developed by Google, Facebook, Azure, Amazon. So you can use this as a package. So this kind of works enrich your data, and then you can create, develop more customized, more your company specific solutions using this enriched data to create a better machine learning solutions for your company that can create competitive advantage for your product. Yes. Yes, I think it is okay now. I try to explain. I try to explain some uh, points which are important for machine learning development and that kind of projects. Of course, there are a lot of points we can talk. Uh, please make comment. If you have questions, please ask. I will be happy about that. And sorry for technical difficulties we lived at the beginning. Now I think everything is okay. Thank you very much. If you have questions, we are waiting. And see you